right, well, thank you very much for allowing me the privilege to be here today and to have the opportunity to talk with you. As Dennis said, my name is Dave Landon, and I have the privilege of leading the welding engineering department at Vermeer Corporation in Pella, Iowa. And I was asked to give an industry perspective this afternoon concerning education and specifically education partnerships in training the next generation. In addition to my responsibilities at Vermeer Corporation, I also have the privilege of, for the past 3 years, being Vice President of the American Welding Society. And next year, starting in January, I will be the President of AWS. And so I'm very excited about that. For all of our members that are here today, I thank you for the opportunity to, and the privilege to be your President next year. And I hope to be able to represent you well. To begin with, I want to share with you a little bit about Vermeer Corporation for 2 reasons. The first one, probably the most important one, is they allowed me the privilege to be able to give these presentations, to be able to serve the American Welding Society, and therefore it gives me an opportunity to share a little bit with you about our company. And so I thank them very much for their support. But in addition to that, as we're talking about education of welders and training, I hope that this introduction will give you a little bit of a background of who we are and a perspective, maybe a little bit of credibility to the message that I bring. Vermeer Corporation, we manufacture construction and agriculture equipment. We're located in Pella, Iowa, but we are a global company. We have a footprint on just about every continent around the world. Our headquarters are in Pella, Iowa. We employ roughly around 2,800 people there. But we also have facilities in China, in Freeman, South Dakota, in Wolfenbüttel, Germany, and also we have an office in Canada as well. We manufacture about 130 different models of equipment. We focus in on 4 different market segments. Forage solutions, we provide solutions for the forage industry, primarily balers and supporting equipment for that. Specialty excavation, this would be, traditionally we would look at this as track-mounted trenchers, but also surface mining equipment. And this is something that, again, fits into our global footprint. Our environmental solutions focus around the reduction of green waste. Stump grinders, tub grinders, brush chippers. And then our underground solutions, we provide and manufacture equipment for installing infrastructure, directional boring, horizontal directional drills, as well as track-mounted or small rubber tire-mounted trenching equipment, and again, focusing on installing pipelines. And then whenever you have equipment that grinds, digs, you always have to provide service parts. And we have a large segment that focuses on life cycle and really providing a full lifetime service to our customers. The company is privately held. It was founded by a gentleman by the name of Gary Vermeer. And this gentleman was a farmer. And he had a philosophy that says, you know, there always has to be a better way of doing things. And that really focused on not only innovation of the product, but also innovation in how we manufacture our products. And that still rings true today. One of our guiding philosophies in the way that we manufacture is continuous improvement. We heard about that already in the education field. Continuous improvement is critical in manufacturing. And this is, over the past 15 years, you can see some of the results that we have achieved through our continuous improvement effort in reducing the lead time of one of our product lines from 52 days down to 2 days. And so it's a continuous process. It's ingrained in who we are. And it not only focuses in on our manufacturing, but we also combine that into all aspects of our business. As corporate welding engineer, one of my responsibilities is to oversee our weld training program. We have our own internal weld training program. And so we have, through the past 20 years, continuously improved that program through innovation with some of the equipment that you're going to hear about and see today and tomorrow as well. Currently, we employ about 370 gas metal arc production welders in our facility in Pella. And for the past 20 years, we have internally trained a little over 2,000 production welders. So we do a fairly good job of it. But what I want to really talk about this morning, or it's actually this afternoon, excuse me, this afternoon, is educational partnerships. The first question that I want to ask is why? Why do we need them? Let me, just to get a little demographics going here, how many in the room are educators? Primarily that is your responsibility in education. Okay, that's a vast majority, good 80–85%. How many in here are from industry, manufacturing? Okay, we've got a good group as well. Excellent. How many are administrators? Okay. Well, as I thought about this question, why do we need educational partnerships? One of the first things that came up is a catchword that we hear. If you read anything in the news today around manufacturing, you hear this first phrase, right skills now. And when I get my news, I get my news by Google. I don't watch the TV news or anything like that. Google News is my source. One of the things that I've customized in my Google News is the subject of welding. I challenge you to do that. It's phenomenal what's going on in the industry in the area of welding. Right skills now is a phrase that is used by the Manufacturing Institute. And those of you who may not be familiar with the Manufacturing Institute, that is the educational arm of the National Association of Manufacturers. And when they talk about right skills now, I got this information off of their website. Basically, what they're talking about is facing the reality for the 21st century manufacturing workforce. From a demographics, we face baby boomers' retirements coupled with a shrinking pipeline. That's one of the things that's working against us. Technology advances in modern manufacturing require more advanced skill sets. And they state that there's a major deficit in our education system, limit production of high quality and quantity workforce. 82.5% of the manufacturers report moderate to serious shortage of skilled production workers today. 74% of manufacturers report that this skill gap has negatively affected their company's ability to expand operations. 69% of the manufacturers expect skills shortage to be in skilled production to worsen in the next 3 to 5 years. And that this skills gap has resulted in as many as 600,000 jobs going unfilled. And we heard, I think Dennis make the quote that about 200,000 or more, 400,000 are just in the welding area. So this includes all of the areas. This was a telling quote from Darlene Miller, president of Permac Industries in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And she says, "It's really frustrating and continues to be a real issue for manufacturers like me when we hear the unemployment numbers, but yet we cannot find people skilled to come to work for our companies. We are constantly interviewing and finding that people we bring do not have the math skills that are required to operate our equipment. We can buy all the equipment we need, but we cannot find the skilled labor we need to advance our companies." So why do we need educational partnerships? Because we have this skills gap. It's real. Now, another reason for educational partnerships is synergy. There's a book that I like to read. It's a bestseller. It's about 4,000 years old. And there's a quote in this book that says, "Two are better than one. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken." And when we talk about educational partnerships, I think that is a very true statement today as well. That we gain a real synergy when the educational community and the industry partnerships and professional societies like the American Welding Society and the equipment manufacturers and the curriculum developers are all working together to solve this problem. The obvious reason why we need and why these educational partnerships are so important is in our world today, that's where the source of funding is. It's very difficult to receive funding unless you're partnering with industry, unless you're partnering with other schools. And so I think that these 3 reasons tell us why we need the partnerships. But what are they? Well, the traditional one that I think all of us are familiar with are advisory committees or advisory councils. I have a few thoughts on this that I'll talk a little bit about later, but I want to challenge you to truly use the advisory committees, and I'm speaking to you in the education side, but also the industry side too. Use these advisory committees to what they are really truly there for. Not just rubber stamping. I serve on several of these, and some of them, it's at the best a rubber stamp. I get an invitation once every 18 months. I serve on another one that is a couple times a year, plus I am able to interact on an ongoing basis. And so advisory committees are a very powerful tool when they're used properly. Shared resources is another example of industry partnerships. Again, I stated that I use Google News to get my news, and I copied off a few examples from various newspapers around. And I'd like to read a few of these. I won't read them all, but I'd like to read a little bit about them. This is one that I got shortly after I was asked to come here. And I saw this as Newport News Shipbuilding brings welding to Allendale. This is from Newport News, Virginia. Huntington Ingalls Industries, Newport News Shipbuilding Division, is donating training resources to Southern Carolina Regional Development Alliance for a welding program in Allendale County, South Carolina. The SCA Advanced Manufacturing Skills Training Program has already provided 47 students welding training, and the SCA is now working to expand the program by implementing curricular development developed and used by Newport News Shipbuilding. Newport News representatives presented the training materials to the SCA June 25th. A shipyard welding instructor will work with the training facility to implement the curricula. That's an example of a partnership where you have industry investing into the educational program, donating their curricula, providing an instructor. Newport News has found that by working closely and sharing some of our training materials with local community colleges and technical schools, we create a richer pipeline of talent applying for career opportunities with our company, said Bill Dokovich, Newport News Director of Trade Services. Here's another example. This is from the Daily Record. I believe it's in Pennsylvania. Veterans learn welding training in Denville. Experts say the need for welders in America will increase drastically in the next decade as more retire and with that knowledge, the American Welding Society and Morris County School of Technology have teamed up to provide local veterans with skills and certifications they need to earn a job within the trade. The average welder is 50 years old, and projecting ahead in the next 5 to 10 years, there will be a need for over 250,000 new welders throughout the United States, as Jim Dolan, chair of the American Welding Society Education Committee. Welders are associated with other trades, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, mechanics. It's a way to introduce them to new employment possibilities, and a great demand for welders. Another example. This was an interesting one. PCS welding students on the way to high-paying jobs, Pensacola News Journal. 22-year-old Wayne Marshall is taking part in Pensacola State College welding program to improve life for him and his family. Trent Wallace, 33, signed up in order to find direction. Both students now feel they're on their way to a better life. The PCS welding program started this summer at a college's campus in Century, one of the most impoverished areas in the county. The program puts students on track to become certified welders within a short period of time, 3 semesters, so that they can land lucrative jobs and get on track to improve their lives. Currently, 31 students are taking welding classes, which are offered during the day and the evening. And then I skip ahead here. It says, in the program, which is held in 2 mobile, high-tech, state-of-the-art trailers, students start off learning to weld using welding simulators or virtual welding machines. They later move on to live welding with real-world materials. Those simulators are like high-tech video games that are designed to decrease the time you go from having no skills to entry-level skills, says Dan Busey, Dean of Workforce and Education and Vocational Support at PCS. We can train students to become welders somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40% faster. And then the last one is from Mount Vernon, and this is Mantrakan is offering free welding instructions to qualified residents. So now we've got it free. And again, these are examples of different ways that these partnerships work. It's not a cookie cutter. They can be very customized to the particular area. Creative solutions. In one area, mobile trailers with virtual reality. In other area, working with veterans. In other areas, low income. These are all examples, great examples of educational partnerships. I'd like to give a couple examples from the state of Iowa that I personally have been involved with. The first one is the Iowa Advanced Manufacturing Consortium. And then the second one has to deal specifically with Vermeer Corporation. The Iowa Advanced Manufacturing Consortium consists of all 15 community colleges in the state of Iowa. Now, unlike Ivy Tech, we don't have a single system. We have 15 different community colleges with 15 different presidents. To get 15 college presidents to agree on anything is an impossibility. But through an educational partnership, all 15 community colleges came to the table along with the Association of Business and Industry in the state of Iowa, the major employers, and the Manufacturing Institute, and the American Welding Society, along with a couple other associations like NIMS and ACT, and put together one of the early TAC grants. In 2012, we're awarded around a $13 million grant with welding as the flagship to align curriculum around the SENSE program, but also align curriculum around a common course numbering system so that when I, as an employer, am looking at a student from Indian Hills Community College, or I'm looking at one from Hawkeye Tech, and they have taken a certain course, I know that it's going to be the same course taught no matter where in the state that it has come from. To me, as an employer, that's important. Another major portion of this TAC grant focuses around the credentialing system. Prior to this, there were no accredited test facilities in the state of Iowa. And through this program and through this consortium, 8 of the 15 community colleges are in the process of becoming AWS accredited test facilities. So we have a true alignment with the curriculum, with the welding programs, focusing in around industry recognized, transportable, stackable credentials. Vermeer is located about halfway between two of the community colleges, about 45 miles away from both of them. And so we work with a couple of the schools. One of them, the Des Moines Area Community College. We're about 45 miles away from Des Moines. And this is an example of what I would call a really very creative solution and a very creative educational partnership. I showed you a slide earlier about our own internal training program. And you may say, well, why do you have that if you're a champion of the education system? We are located a significant distance away from the two schools that train, is one reason. Another reason is a lot closer to both of those schools is a manufacturing company that paints their equipment green. Okay? and so the competition is really difficult to get these students. In addition to that, another slide that I showed you, I talked about lean manufacturing. One of the principles of lean manufacturing is just in time. Flow. Under a traditional education system, oftentimes the students are batch and queue. They come out 3 times a year in a big group. But as an employer, I need employees every week. And so that's why we had to create our own program. The pipeline wasn't there for us, and we need that flow as well. However, the school came to us with an idea, and that idea was that we worked together with them in one of their facilities that is close to us on nights and weekends. They would use our curriculum, and in fact, they would hire our instructors to be adjunct instructors for the school, so that 2 nights a week and on Saturdays, we have our instructors using our curriculum teaching the school students. And utilizing the Iowa New Jobs Training Program as funding, we were able to increase our capacity, not only with our own training program, but also through the school to provide additional students or additional potential employees to the company that met the requirements that we needed. And so this was a real creative solution that has helped us tremendously in our need for employees. After the first 2 opportunities, or 2 classes that we did this, we took it a step further, and we also offer the class in our own facility in nights and weekends as well, under the umbrella of the community college. And so now we have a 3rd facility that feeds into our system. So again, very creative solution. Last year, Des Moines Area Community College, Pella Public Schools, and Pella Christian Schools joined together to establish a career academy in our community as well. That career academy offers welding courses, it offers certified nursing assistant, and 4 other programs. And For this program, again, we were able to provide the curriculum. The school provided the equipment. The instructor, the young lady in the center there, is a former employee of Vermeer and was a trainee for us for several years. And so she is now the high school instructor that is providing the training. And in the first year, we had 2 classes, about 22 students go through the program. Most of them were juniors. There were about 6 seniors, and after graduation, those seniors were hired directly into Vermeer for production jobs. So again, another creative solution, another opportunity, another example of partnerships. It's important to me as an employer that you do a voice of customer. And I talked about the advisory committees as a form of a partnership. If all that is a rubber stamping, there's not a lot of voice of customer going on there. And I challenge you to really go out and do a true voice of customer. I bring this up because it's a real life example. One of the community colleges in the state of Iowa has one of the best shielded metal arc welding programs in the country. They have a phenomenal program in shielded metal arc welding. About 80% of the time the students have under the hood is in shielded metal arc welding. Now, unfortunately, 95% of the jobs in that school's area are gas metal arc welding jobs. And so we have a disconnect. Because the school is not going out and doing a voice of customer. So I challenge you, make sure you understand where those jobs are and the skills that are needed for the jobs. The right skills now. Listen. Listen and act on what your advisors are telling you. You want us to participate in your advisory committees. And if we share information with you, if you want us to continue to participate, listen to what we're saying and act on it. Again, I've sat on some of these things that we talk and we say you need to make some changes, and those changes aren't being made. And that's why people don't participate. So it's important that you listen and act. Break the mold. Don't do it the same way that you've always done it. Look for creative solutions. Look for those creative solutions. Don't make it cookie cutter. Know your area and be creative. Now, I got a challenge to us as employers as well. Get involved. It does no good to sit back and complain if you're not in there being part of the partnership yourself. So employers, get involved. Invest. You heard the examples of Newport News. I think, Bob, did you tell me that I don't want to steal any of your thunder, but you guys are going to be starting a high school program, and a benefactor invested a significant amount of money. No, that was Chris. Sorry, Chris. Yes. In Omaha. All right. Employers. This is our future. If we don't invest in it, we've got no one to blame but ourselves. So we need to put some money into this thing. And then we need to be patient. In the industry, we like to move. And sometimes it takes time to make changes in the educational community. So we need to learn to be patient. But together, again, 2 is better than 1. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken.